In the late 1950s, a triumphant America is tearing up the skies.
Vehicles were going into places that they'd never been before, going up to heights that were previously unimaginable.
The wild blue yonder is no longer the limit. American Cold Warriors are determined to beat the Russians to the last frontier: space. And the first big step to space travel is getting a pilot to the edge of the stratosphere.
If we were going to go to the moon, for instance, which people were beginning to talk about, somebody first had to prove that it was going to be possible for a human being to survive any significant amount of time in space-equivalent conditions.
It's a dangerous mission, one most think is impossible, but not the badass father of space jumping, Joe Kittinger.
Joe was just fearless. He was always looking for a challenge. He was going to help pioneer the space program.
This is one of the great sagas of American aviation history, and nobody had heard about it.
The crazy story everyone has heard takes place in October 2012, when Austrian daredevil Felix Baumgartner leaps from the stratosphere, setting the world record for highest skydive.
Yeah, that's really high.
2 billion people knew about Felix's jump, whereas nobody knew about my jump in 1960.
Felix did his jump at 130,000 feet. My grandfather did his jump at 102,000 feet, but he did it 50 years earlier.
It all starts in 1957. As the Cold War is heating up, an elite American research team races to turn science fiction into fact.
People were beginning to take seriously the notion of spaceflight.
They've done the math for the mission. Now, they just need the man.
Gentlemen.
My boss, he called us all the pilots in together. And he said, I need a volunteer. And I put my hand up immediately. He said, let me tell you what it's for first, Kittinger, before you volunteer.
These top Air Force flyboys learn that maverick researcher and widely perceived mad genius Dr. John Paul Stapp is doing some hush-hush experiments.
And then he says he thinks we need the information for space. Everybody kind of laughed. And he said, now I'm looking for a pilot. And I put my hand up again. I said, I volunteer. So he said, okay, we'll go over and see Dr. Stapp. The only way you can really do something different is to volunteer for everything that comes up, because you'll never know what you can contribute. You'll never know what you can do if you don't have the opportunity.